Let me show you the best camera tips and tricks I found on OnePlus 13. So first of all, obviously we'll need to open our camera app, and after that I'm gonna show you a few features, and after we're finished with the features I will try to photograph a few things so you can see what I mean. And first of all, when you enter your camera, you can click on this three lines in the top right corner of the screen and adjust different settings. There's a timer, aspect ratio, and other settings depending on the modes you're currently operating in. We can enter those settings to adjust and maybe make our life easier for the camera. We can disable the shutter sound as it's a bit annoying. We can also disable mirroring selfie as I don't like it. Also, I strongly recommend to disable this watermark as it's very ugly when you take those photos, and by default it's enabled. Next, we're gonna go for the touch and hold shutter, and you can take a burst of photos by holding the shutter button, and you can make a clear burst, which is better if you're trying to photograph moving objects, or you can go for a classic burst, which is better at taking more photos. Now, as you can see, if I hold this button, it will take a photos, and you can see the count of them right there. So we have that done. We can move back to the settings. Then we can go for the shooting methods, and if you want to make better photos, I recommend to enable tap to capture, as you don't need to press the button. You can click anywhere with your finger and try to make your phone more stable during photos when you just tap anywhere. You can also enable show palm, so it will work as a auto shutter when your camera detects a palm. Okay, so honestly that would be everything. Only the volume button action I also recommend to put on shutter, as you can click on the volume button instead of anywhere on the screen, which can also help stabilize those photos. Then in the photo mode and many others, you will find a HDR mode. I recommend to just put it on auto, as it will make your photos in the higher definition. And there's also macro shot, which allows you to capture photos that small objects in more detail, so you can activate that as well, and I will show you later what is the difference between it. And now let's move to the master on the left. You can switch between auto and pro settings right here. Auto settings will basically automatically adjust your camera to your environment and try to make a better photo, or you can go for pro mode, which allows you to manually adjust all of the settings that are normally not available for camera. You can change the JPEG to RAW image, or you can also adjust white balance, autofocus, evaluation, shutter speed, and the ISO as well. Okay, so we have that. We can move to the more options, and in the more options you can enter high resolution mode, which captures photos in 50 MP megapixels, and you can use that to make photos look more detailed. And next thing in more is the slow motion. You can record slow motion videos. You can make time lapses, panoramic photos, long exposure, which can make photos much more brighter in the dark environment. There's also the X-pan, which can make white photos as well, and the tilt shift. And now let's move to the video recording, as there's a few features right here. First of all, this phone supports 8K resolution in 30 FPS and 4K resolution in 60 FPS, which is very nice. Those files, when you record a long video, will be very, very big, but they will also look really, really good. And also for the video mode, I recommend to enable ultra steady mode, which will make your photos much more stable. I mean videos much more stable, but it only operates on 1080p and it won't work on high resolutions. So we have that established. Also, I'm just going to go back to photo mode to show you the live photo that you can enable, which makes your colors on the photos much brighter and contrast much better. Action mode reduces a blur when you take photos of moving objects as well. So now finally, when we have that everything, let's try to photograph something with a few of the settings. So on the first go, we're gonna try to photograph this miniature right here with the macro mode. So we can enable the macro shot like that, and then when I grab my phone, let me zoom out a bit so that you can see something, and then we're gonna try to capture a macro photo of this miniature. So you didn't see me take that photo very well, but here's the result. I think in the macro mode, photographing something so small is a perfect thing. As you can see, everything is so sharp and you can see every color, although it's a bit dusty, the miniature I mean. Okay, next thing we can do is photograph something even smaller. So as you can see, this miniature is kind of big, but we have something else. And in the macro mode, we can zoom in up to 6 times, or up to even 10 times if you like. And then if we try to photograph this miniature right here, its face specifically, it will be even better. And we have our macro mode covered. Let's move to something else like normal mode for our photos, and then try to compare it maybe with the 50 megapixels mode. So please let's auto rotate this camera to the front and disable macro shot. Now I'm gonna try to capture a photo from the same position of this miniature in the standard photo mode, maybe with the live photo enabled, and then we're gonna try to do it the same way with the 50 megapixels. Also gonna zoom out. Okay, so I have the photo. That's how it looks like, but we're gonna compare it in the moment. Then in the more, we can enter high resolution and try to photograph it as well. Okay, so I have a few photos in the gallery now, as I've taken too many, and that's the 50 megapixels resolution. And now let's try to find the photo without 50 megapixels. So this one is without 50 megapixels, and this one is with 50 megapixels. You can pause the video on each and see the difference. Also, we'll try to zoom in. And that is everything.